And so now we turn our attention to right here in our own backyard at Harbortown. The RBC Heritage will be teeing off on Thursday. We'll be talking more about that as we go on through the week and keeping you up to date on things going on there. But it looks like we're going to have a beautiful week for professional golf here in South Carolina as well. So we got that. And of course, over the weekend, South Carolina had its first big scrimmage for spring football practice. We'll bring you some comments from Shane Beamer from Saturday, where he kind of recapped things and talked about various aspects of his team, give you some insight on what he's thinking at this stage. They're at the halfway point of the 14 practices leading up to the spring game on April 24th. So they're starting to get a pretty good feel, I'd say, for what they've got at South Carolina this spring. Of course, number of players are out. It's left them thin in, especially in the secondary. It's left them thin there. And these guys will get healthy. There's no question about it. These guys will get healthy. And then they've got some folks coming in the class that will help. So they'll have a little more depth in that secondary when everybody arrives for August and everybody gets healthy. But, they still have to solve the quarterback situation. It looks like Luke Doty is emerging as the guy at quarterback. Apparently he had a pretty good scrimmage, and they feel good about him at quarterback. He's, of course, got experience, and he can do some good things in that offense. We'll see how well he's come along as a passer when we get a chance to see him in the spring game. I mean, I think that's the key thing for him. How well does he develop as a passer in this offense? And we'll touch on some of the other parts of the team here coming up in just a little bit as we get into all that. South Carolina got another basketball transfer over the weekend. Actually came out yesterday afternoon about the time the baseball game ended. Eric Stevenson, about a 6'3" guard from the state of Washington, who started his career at Wichita State, and then after 2 years there, played this past season at Washington, where he averaged over 9 points per game. He'll be joining us at 7:05 to talk about his move to South Carolina. So Frank Martin is basically going to rebuild about half his roster, I would say. 5 have left. There's probably going to be more. You may have as many as 6 or 7 leave the program, and they'll be replaced by the freshmen who have signed and these transfers. And there's still other transfers that he's talking to. So it'll be basically about a 50% turnover of the roster, I would say, if not a little bit more, by the time they settle things and have their complete roster set for the next season. So, excuse me, we'll talk with him, and we'll hear from Frank Beamer. See, I knew I was going to say that at some point in time. Shane Beamer. We'll hear from Shane Beamer. And our phone number, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery. Lucky number here on Sports Talk. And we'll look forward to taking your phone calls. Baseball over the weekend. I got a chance to get to South Carolina baseball Saturday, Sunday. And so the Gamecocks won that series and continue to play some pretty good baseball. Winning series is what it's all about. They beat Missouri. But unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because, some of the focus on the baseball team now has been lost over I guess it's a controversy. I can't think of a better way to put it. The controversy dealing with the fans, students / fans who sit behind the visitors' dugout. And this has been going on for a little while. It sort of, kind of peaked a little bit, I guess, on Sunday, where some of the Missouri players, a Missouri coach, took some exception to what they were hearing out of the stands. And, there's been people on Twitter saying that fans have been escorted out of the stadium for no reason at all, that they really haven't been doing anything all that out of the ordinary, going back to the years of the third base hecklers at South Carolina at Sarge Fry when everything was good to go. And Sunday we had some lengthy delays in the game because of interruptions from the fan base, from the stands. I listen. I'm not down there. I can only watch from the press box, And I could see some fans gesturing towards the Missouri dugout. And, do the Missouri players and coaches have rabbit ears? I mean, should they turn a deaf ear to what they're hearing from the stands? I would say probably 99% of the time you should if you're the visiting team. However, that's not to say that, and I'm not saying this is the case here because I don't know, that's not to say that a fan didn't cross the line with his language, or with, some adjective that he was using and tossing at a Missouri player or coach. I mean, there is a line that you should not cross, okay? I think we can all agree to that. And you're going to get a reaction from the opposing team when that happens. And it caused the umpires to come over and deal with the situation. It led to security coming down and, for a while, escorting a few fans out of the ballpark. And then they were, well, not necessarily out of the ballpark, but out of the stands and up to the top. And then they were, I guess, let back down to their seats. But the point is, you got a really good baseball team. You got a really good baseball team right now. You got a team that's only a game out of first place in the East. And here you are, a fair number of Gamecock fans are all caught up in this. What can they say as third base hecklers, as fans? What are they allowed to do? Why are they being muzzled? And of course, you got the players who are responding to their fans because, after they had that flare up in the top of the eighth inning yesterday, the Gamecocks came out in the bottom of the eighth inning and just annihilated the baseball. I mean, they just got red hot at the plate. And it's like, okay, see, the players feed off this energy. They feed off the excitement of the fans. And I get that. They really do. And as long as you're not stepping across that line of poor taste and the kind of insults that just aren't acceptable in today's society, that's fine. I guess the days of a fan, yelling at a player and saying, "Hey, your mother wears army boots," that just doesn't go very far anymore. Your mama chews tobacco, stuff like that. I guess the mama jokes, they don't have the same impact as today's jokes do. But my point is, nobody should have a problem. I don't have a problem. Nobody should have a problem with fans behind a visitor's dugout razzing the opposing team. I mean, that's part of it, as long as you keep it in bounds. And I don't know if they went out of bounds or not. And now you got fans who are clamoring for full attendance at USC baseball games and Clemson baseball games. You saw at Mississippi over the weekend, they had over 30,000 for their 3-game series. I guess they were packing at 11,000 plus. And I saw some video, and they were packed in tighter than sardines. I mean, they were able to do those are your people, Pat. That's where you cut your teeth.
I don't think I have smiled that wide in over 12 months now. That was just amazing to see. And I love how in the right outfield at Swayze Field down at Ole Miss, whenever there's a home run hit, the entire student section that sits out there all just shakes beers above their heads.
Yeah, the beer shower.
It's amazing.
Well,
love it.
Call me ignorant. When I was there for the regional 2 years ago, Clemson played there. I didn't know about the beer shower thing. And I'm sitting over there in the press area. Ole Miss is playing a game, and somebody hit a home run for Ole Miss, and all of a sudden I see those beers go up like that. And I said, what in the hell is that? And somebody said, yeah, every time they hit a home run, they do a beer shower out there. I said, that's fantastic. That's great. That's just a great deal. So people see that, and they're going, why isn't South Carolina and Clemson allowing full attendance now? And, the response is, well, it's not up to the schools. It's up to the state government. I know the state government has said you can go 50%. They prefer you stay less than that right now, but you can go 50% right now. And South Carolina's not doing 50% yet. I don't think Clemson's doing 50% yet, but maybe they will in the not too distant future. We'll get to that, and then we'll take the next step. Maybe by the end of the season, by the time the regionals roll around, maybe you can get back to full attendance at that time. So we got that to talk about. Clemson losing a series over the weekend to Virginia. Tigers they're kind of struggling, even though they've won some series. Their record is 2 games over 500, but they lost to a Virginia team that's been struggling. Lost 2 out of 3 to Virginia over the weekend. Yes, sir.
You mentioned with these talks about attendance in stadiums, you may not have seen Clemson announced today they actually had their maintenance crews within the stadium removing all of the seat backs that had been put down for the 2020 season for those little COVID pods. Those were all removed from Death Valley today. So that's exciting news for Clemson fans.
There you go. Typical Clemson. Here I am talking about Clemson baseball, and all he can think about, Smitty, all he can think about is Clemson football. You know, I'm talking about Clemson baseball, and he's got to go to Clemson football.
No, I think that's absolutely right. I think a lot of times when you ask somebody, you know, who's the best baseball coach in Clemson history, a lot of people come back with Danny Ford. Yeah. Well, you mean Bill Wilhelm? No. I still think Danny could have done it. Yeah. I feel like he could have done it. Yeah, that's what Pat does. And I tell you what, I'm like you about the razzing from the third base side at South Carolina's Founders Park. I don't know what was said, but I know this. It cannot be worse than Missouri's going to hear visiting Mississippi State or LSU.
Yeah.
I would say that. I don't know what South Carolina fans said, but they're amateurs when it comes to cursing compared to what you hear at most SEC West parks. So if they've got a few trips ahead of them, they might end up in a couple of ugly situations because I think Founders Park fans are well behaved in comparison to what I've heard from even catching it on the mic on like ESPN Friday nights that you'll hear at LSU and Mississippi State.
Well, it's good to have Smitty back with us. He was gone most of last week. Smitty, I didn't tell people really what was going on, but I'll do it now. Smitty was gone because he was often helping to set up for the Trevor Lawrence wedding on Sunday. How was it? Did you help Trevor? How was it helping Trevor get into his tuxedo and getting his hair just right for that big moment?
Yeah, it's only natural juices and berries in Trevor's hair, as you know, and I was in charge of bringing some of that. And it's only local honey. He will only eat local honey. There was a lot going on. I didn't tell them that you wish you were there to stop the wedding because of your man crush on Trevor.
Yeah.
You just think that he should hold out a little bit longer. Just stay in love with football a little bit.
Well, in all honesty, now look, it's not my man crush is on Larry Bird. Now, if Larry Bird were a woman, then I would have probably married him. But he's not, and I didn't.
Not healthy, Phil. Not healthy.
But there are other Clemson fans who I'm sure would step up to the plate given the opportunity to replace the misses there. But it's too late. He's gotten it done. I think he's going to be one and done when it comes to the marriage scene, don't you think? Because this is his high school sweetheart, and
it's a good story. It's a good story. I hope she likes Jacksonville because every mock draft still continues to have him going number one, and I think she's going to have a good time in Jacksonville, and I think they are about to come into some serious riches. The numbers that are being tossed around for Trevor Lawrence.
Indeed, and we had a good race at Martinsville. Rain got in the way on Saturday night, unfortunately, but they made it up with a good race yesterday, and Martin Truex Jr., kind of becoming the king of the short tracks now in NASCAR, winning, I think that's 3 out of 4 he's won at Richmond. And so good win for him. And, of course, we're getting closer to Darlington. Looking forward to that in just a few weeks, and we'll be talking more about that as we get closer to that. So we have got one busy show for you. Recruiting is coming up as well. We're going to hear from Shane Beamer coming up. Going to hear from Eric Stevenson coming up here on Sports Talk as well. Your phone calls, 888-898-2525, 888-898-2525. Tonight's a special night here on Sports Talk, Smitty, because, well, I don't know. I was trying to think of the best way to put this, and the best sports slogan I can think of to describe what's going on in Sports Talk is, Smitty, you are cycling out, and Chris Bergen is cycling in. That's the best I can do.
It's almost unfair. It really is.
That is unfair. Chris, welcome.
Smitty, thank you so much. I'm so excited when Phil gave me this opportunity to come in and start working with you guys. That I've been a fan first of this show for, 20-plus years, growing up listening to Sports Talk, and now to have an opportunity to sit behind the microphone and just not really.
Don't make us sound that old. You mean you're growing up?
Well, first off, that's your own fault because I noticed on social media today I'm listed as a veteran sportscaster. So I was going to ask, Smitty, how long do you have to be in this business to become a veteran sportscaster?
You just have to work with Phil for a week.
Yeah, if you can survive Sports Talk for a week, you're a veteran, my man. You're a veteran. So let me explain what's going on. Smitty, of course, has been with us from the jump with our restart of Sports Talk. He is fabulous. He is outstanding. He is great in every way. And he's got a lot on his plate with his duties up in Spartanburg and also still working with us. So what Smitty's going to be doing is coming off the show on a regular basis, doing some spot on-air work, some fill-in work, covering stuff for us, still working with us in an administrative and marketing and advertising standpoint. And we welcome a longtime friend, a veteran. When you've worked in this state for 30 years or more, you're a veteran sportscaster. We welcome a good friend, veteran sportscaster, Chris Bergen, who will be co-hosting Sports Talk with Pat Daniel. It'll be the three of us moving forward. And we look forward to continuing doing what we've been doing. And Chris is also not only with us, he is the voice of Coastal Carolina basketball. Can you say Cliff Ellis? And he does sidelines for the football team. So
I had a great run. I had a really, really fun run with Coastal football, and it came together. It was a perfect storm for them, being a newcomer to the FBS level and coming in and having an opportunity to play in a group of 5 league that started on time and did not have to worry about all the Power 5 leagues taking up the TV time. So Coastal got on television. They won a game. They beat Kansas on the road. Then they get on television the next week. They win again, and the momentum starts to build. And Jamie Chadwell, their head coach, was very honest and open about saying, you know what, Phil? We understand why we're getting this opportunity, but our guys are going to take that opportunity, and they could not have showcased the program nor the university any better than they did in that BYU game, which was a lot of fun to be a part of, I can tell you.
And Jamie Chadwell's got to be a hoot to deal with.
He's outstanding. And as a matter of fact, that the luxury that we have broadcasting for Coastal Athletics is that entire coaching staff, from Gary Gilmore on the baseball side to Cliff Ellis to, of course, Jamie Chadwell to Jada Williams, whomever you might want to pick out. They're all good people first, and then darn good coaches after that. So it makes my job, because I'm not real smart, so it makes my job really, really easy to do.
Give us the short story on Chris Bergen.
Oh, my. I grew up in North Carolina, educated here in South Carolina, have been in South Carolina pretty much my entire adult career. I got into radio in 1993, so I guess that's where the veteran sportscaster starts. I actually worked in Lawrence and in Clinton for many, many, yes, I can pronounce it properly. It is Clinton, South Carolina. Worked at one of your affiliates at that time, WPCC, for many, many years, was the voice of Presbyterian College Athletics for about, 13 years. Got to see the good, the bad, and the ugly with PC Athletics, and then they transitioned into Division I. And about that time, I made the move over to start working with Coastal, and I've sort of had my hands in many different pots over there. Matt Hogue, their athletics director, a good friend of mine, so he gave me that opportunity. And about 11 years ago, moved to Florence, where I still live with my wife and was working with a sports station in Florence. And unfortunately, here within the last, 3 weeks, they decided to change the format. It's no longer sports. So unfortunately, my varied skills not as needed. And unfortunately, Phil was right there to pick up the pieces. And I am grateful to be here with you guys.
Now, we've all been through that a time or two. If you're in this business long enough, you're going to be unemployed multiple times. You just have to pick up the pieces and keep on rolling. And, man, when I heard what happened, I said, we got to get him involved, Smitty. We got to get Chris Bergen involved with us. He's too good. And he's going to be with us here on Sports Talk. He's going to be covering events for us. Now, during football season and basketball season, Smitty, we're going to have some excellent insight on Coastal Carolina.
Absolutely.
And look, Coastal's right there behind South Carolina and Clemson, South Carolina, however you want to rank them. I mean, they're right there, number 3 in terms of the bigness of their athletic program.
They are, and now that it's still somewhat of an education process. I think there are a lot of people, maybe not in South Carolina any longer, but across the country still trying to educate that Coastal Carolina football is on the same level. It may not have the same excitement. It may not have as big a fan base. It's a much younger school and a much younger program, but they are on the same level as Carolina and Clemson. So, looking forward to maybe having a little more insights to bring to the table once Coastal gets their football season cranked up. And the question is going to be right off the bat, will Kansas make the return trip to Conway as they are supposed to this coming fall?
Is there some question?
Well, I'm just curious, after you've lost to Coastal twice, do you really want to play that game a third time?
Yeah. Don't you think they want to get even with their new coach?
Well, they've lost to him twice in Lawrence. Is the prospects going to be any better when they come to the beach?
Tell you what, I love what they've done to the stadium, Brooks Stadium at Coastal Carolina. The new addition is just gorgeous.
They've done They really have, Phil. They've done a terrific job, and they've maintained the size that they need. They didn't go overboard and put it to 30, 45, 50,000 fans where they wouldn't, quite frankly, wouldn't draw that much. But what they have right around 20, 25,000 in the brand new facility, it is going to be really nice when it's full. They still have not had a chance to showcase it, and could you imagine the BYU game this past fall with game day there, had they been able to have a full house? It would have been the hottest ticket in the state that weekend.
Yeah. They're doing a great job. You mentioned Matt Hogue. That's just a guy who I admire, even though he's younger than me. I admire what he's done in his career because, he was a sportscaster. He worked here in Columbia, worked local sports talk, and decided he wanted to be a play-by-play guy. And he went and took a job at Coastal when Coastal was on nobody's radar. Nobody's radar. And that program, of course, has mushroomed and become what it's become. And they liked him so much, and he's so smart, they made him the AD, and he's doing a heck of a job running that program.
It's fascinating to sit and listen to him talk athletics because it has changed. I've grown up with him through those decades, as you pointed out, from coming out of college and going to wanting to be a sports broadcaster and then transitioning over into athletic administration. And I've had lengthy discussions with him about how much his life has changed. And it is fascinating. I'm sure Dan Radakovich and Ray Tanner would tell you the same thing. But athletic administration is a different animal than what you and I and Pat and Smitty and everybody get to do on a daily basis. Our job's not as hard as theirs.
No, especially some of the headaches listen, there's headaches for everybody. In today's sports world, it's not the easy. It's never been easy, but I think it's more difficult now because of what's happening with the NIL and players wanting more and more rights and freedoms, and not that they didn't have rights and freedoms before. It's just a different type of a right and a different type of a freedom. They want different things now, and it's still they're slowly chiseling away at that brick wall, and it's eventually going to cave in. All right, so coming up, we'll continue with welcoming Chris into Sports Talk. We'll hear more from Smitty and Pat. We'll take your phone calls, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery. Lucky number here on Sports Talk. Did you know that since 2002, more than $6 billion in lottery proceeds have been used to support South Carolina educational programs? You can learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at sceducation.com/education wins, and playing for fun is a win for education. We'll have Shane Beamer comments for you coming up a little bit later on. And we mentioned Eric Stevenson, 6'3" guard who is transferring to South Carolina from Washington all the way across the country. And he's a native of Washington. It's not like he grew up in the Southeast and went to Washington or went to Wichita State and went to Washington. He's from Washington, went to Wichita, went back to Washington. Now he's coming to South Carolina. Listen, you got to give Frank Martin credit for hanging in there and trying to bring in some players he thinks can help the program rebound next season. We'll be right back.
Is that crack in your windshield or your house bothering you?
Have you been meaning to have it replaced but just can't find the time?
Call Absolute Glass, voted Lexington's best glass shop for 12 years in a row.
We repair and replace glass on all makes and models.
We're the only local high-end auto glass specialist in the Midlands, and we'll come to you to make the process quick and easy.
With new technologies and vehicles, we can recalibrate your vehicle back to new.
Visit AbsoluteGlassInc.com to learn more about our auto, home, and business glass services. Just remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
A social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Police faced gunfire as they responded to reports of a possible gunman at a Tennessee high school on Monday, leaving one person dead and an officer wounded. No one else was killed or wounded at Austin East Magnet High School in Knoxville, a city 180 miles east of Nashville. The male's been detained. Police said they responded to the school about 3:15 p.m. and when they encountered a male with a gun, shots were fired. Upon approach of the suspect, Knoxville Police Department posted on Facebook, shots were fired. A police officer was struck at least one time and transported to the hospital with injuries that are not expected to be life-threatening. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 55 points, the Nasdaq dropped 50, the S&P down a fraction, crude oil up 38 cents to 59.70 a barrel. This is SRN News.
Have you walked around your own home lately? I mean, it is your most valuable financial asset. Have you spotted any cracks in the home's foundation? Now, if you have, don't panic. You call TerraTech instead. Why am I so comfy recommending TerraTech? Well, they check off all the boxes that matter to me. First, they're local. They're family-owned in the Midlands for more than 38 years. More than 10,000 homeowners, just like you and just like me, have trusted TerraTech to restore their homes. TerraTech combines their collective experience of over 150 years of professional service in the foundation repair industry, along with utilizing state-of-the-art products and solutions. TerraTech fixes foundations. They also repair or build retaining walls. They install French drains, and they offer free inspections and repair quotes. They stand by their work, and they can be trusted with protecting your home. And hey, if you don't want to take my word for it, they're also A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Find them online, TerraTechInc.com, or call TerraTech 791-8888.
Hello, I'm Dr. Linda Bell, state epidemiologist. Even though vaccines have arrived to boost our efforts to end COVID-19, some people are skeptical of the vaccine. African Americans and other people of color are especially hesitant, given the history of previous scientific research. While I understand the distrust, I also know the result of that history. All studies now require strict oversight to protect human subjects. COVID-19 vaccine development was thoroughly reviewed, and these vaccines were determined to be safe and effective. When it was my turn, I was eager to get vaccinated, and I hope you'll do the same. While we wait for more vaccine supply, please continue to wear your mask, to practice physical distancing, and avoid unsafe gatherings. We still need to be careful even after we get vaccinated. Together, we're stronger than any virus. Let's roll up our sleeves and fight COVID-19.
Spring is more than pollen season. It also means it's termite season. Palmetto Exterminators offers a free inspection at your home to determine any possible issues. Palmetto Exterminators offers the best termite agreement anywhere, but they do so much more. They offer complete pest control, mosquito control, wildlife trapping and removal, and nobody can offer you more peace of mind at your home or business. Now, how do I know that? Well, I never tell you to use someone like Palmetto Exterminators unless I practice what I preach. Now, I've been a customer for 19 years, and they are wonderful. My guy, Ron Byers, and his team over at Palmetto Exterminators, they've looked after my family forever. We have no pest control issues whatsoever. But if we did, all it takes is one phone call, and Palmetto Exterminators will fix it. It's pretty simple. Call Palmetto Exterminators and cross pest control right off your list of concerns. Online, it's palmettoexterminators.net, or give my guy Ron a call, 254-5833.
All right, we're back. Sports Talk Media Network. Phil Kornbluth, Matt Smith, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Boy, the house has gotten more crowded. But not for long, Smitty, as Smitty will be moving on to other things. And really appreciate everything you brought to the air on a regular basis. But I want people to know that you're not going to be forgetting about us air-wise. You'll be back with us from time to time.
Absolutely. I'm still in the sports journalism game, and I'll still be a part of the Sports Talk team. I just won't be taking your phone calls. That's it. That's the only thing that'll change.
Well, except when you're co-hosting, perhaps, with Chris.
Oh, that's right. That's right. When you can text me, and then Chris and I will work together to work it out.
Yeah.
That sounds like fun, actually.
Looking forward to that. I'm talking about like when I'm on one of my long vacations, let's say, and I turn it over to you guys and go.
Okay. You mean media day at golf courses?
Correct. In fact, there was a media day today for the PGA, and I didn't know about it. I'm really not happy about that. Had a chance. I mean, seriously, I guess they were inviting some media down to play the Ocean Course. I saw a tweet from the PGA Tour people about a media day, and I'm like, hello? You left out South Carolina's premier media golfer. How can you have a media day without the corn? But they did. All right, real quick, Smithy, before we get to phone calls, 888-898-2525, your thoughts on things over the weekend that you want to bring up.
Well, for me, I thought that was a really devastating loss for Clemson on Sunday, dropping 2 of 3 to Virginia. Virginia is a team that doesn't have a lot of firepower, and after Clemson got out to the early lead and closed it out on Friday, having to just use 2 arms, I really felt like they were in the catbird seat heading into the weekend. And you said it, they've been scuffling a little bit. Virginia's a team that's been a disappointment, and now Clemson's joining them. And I thought that was a really harmful loss to drop that one 6-5. That Henderson error really ended up costing Clemson. So that was tough to watch. South Carolina, on the other hand, did what it had to do after the rough outing for Farr on Friday night. Then they turned it around and the floodgates opened. So I think that was overall, that was a plus, a positive for South Carolina, still seeking a regional host position. And the Masters, something that is very important to all of us here in South Carolina. I thought it was one of the more anticlimactic weekends at Augusta, but makes it no less important to watch Hideki Matsuyama gain another first at Augusta. And I know that was a big win for golf and a big win for the international committee, for the community. I'm not so sure I'll remember much of what happened at Augusta on Sunday, but I will remember Matsuyama so graciously accepting the green jacket. So, sometimes with Jack in 86, it's the putt. Tiger Woods, it's all the fist pumps. Different Faldo, it's back-to-back. You remember different things from Augusta. For me, I'll remember Matsuyama winning more than actually the time on the course from the weekend.
Yeah, that's a good point. What his caddy did when he went out to the 18th and put the stick back in the hole without the flag, and he bowed to the golf course. I'll remember Shoffley hitting the ball in the creek on 16, I think it was. I mean, he was making a charge. Certainly Matsuyama was feeling the hot breath of Shoffley on his neck, and he just mishit that. He just misplayed it, and Chris, at that point, by all accounts and purposes, it was done.
I actually think, and Smitty brings up a really good point about how Matsuyama sort of handled the golf course and made it anticlimactic. The reason he did, he won that tournament on Saturday following the rain delay, because he was the only one in my mind that came back after the lengthy weather delay and figured out that the greens were going to be a little bit slower. They were softer and actually hit a little bit closer to the pin. And when he separated himself from the field after Saturday, really nobody was going to be able to make a charge, because Augusta, and let's take the last 2 Masters, the one that Dustin Johnson won in November and then this most recent one. But there's a 10-stroke difference between the final score that Hideki Matsuyama shot at 10 under and what Dustin did back in November, finishing at 20 under par, because the only defense that Augusta has is those lightning quick greens. And they finally came back on Thursday and Friday, went away a little bit on Saturday, and then returned yesterday. And really, you were going to have to go extremely low to catch him, and it was nearly impossible because the greens were going to make it so difficult for you to make anything of value and make a run.
By the way, Bryson DeChambeau withdrew from the RBC Heritage today. And I don't know if there's anything just physically wrong or he's just mentally drained after the Masters. Of course, he only played. He didn't make the cut, did he? Did he make the cut?
Yes.
He did make the cut.
He did make the cut. He was never a factor, but he did make the cut. I think he finished 5 over par, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah, sorry to see that, because I would have loved to seen him with his power try and navigate those narrow fairways at Harbor Town, but he will not be in there. 888-898-2525. Let's go to Hank in Columbia. We'll get some calls rolling tonight here on Sports Talk. If you want to join us, love to hear from you. We've got Eric Stevenson coming up after the top of the hour, Shane Beamer in the next hour. Hank, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Phil. Phil, I was listening. I heard Ray Tanner speaking on another station today about the weekend thing with the baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And it was crazy because if you read Twitter, you would think that they had the Hooskow in the games hauling people out in droves. Whereas Tanner said that actually the whole entire weekend there was only one person that was ejected from the game. And but he kind of indicated that most of the stuff that the hecklers were doing, none of it was vulgar and none of it crossed that line or whatever.
Yeah.
That it kind of blew up because the Missouri coach or the Missouri players kind of made a deal about somebody heckling, and then the umpire got in, and the umpire held up the game for a long time trying to get it all situated. And a big part of this is when somebody was mentioning that if they couldn't take that, it would probably be a problem when they go to Mississippi State or whatever. Well, the issue probably with the baseball, and I don't know why it's like this way, because during the season, the girls' basketball dealt with this and the men's basketball dealt with this. With these COVID reduced crowds, you can hear everything. I mean, I went to basketball games, and you could actually hear coaches' instructions to players. You could hear what players were saying to players on the court, even with that little growling noise. But you could really hear something coming out of the stands also.
Yeah.
And so when some of this heckling, he thought probably wouldn't have been a problem if you had let's say 8,000 in there, because then all you do is you hear all the noise and you're not able to actually dial in on a certain comment or whatever is being said. Like if you went to Mississippi State, you're going to hear a bunch of noise and a lot of ragging as a group, but you're not going to hear, I guess, specific direct things that get under your skin. And it's probably these baseball players need to get used to what all these other players have been dealing with during the winter sports, is that in these reduced settings, you can hear what people are saying.
Yeah. But, you're exactly right. But I want to go back to something that I said, and it's, again, here is South Carolina with a distraction at a time when this baseball team is ranked as high as number 5. They're still ranked as high as number 5 in collegiate baseball, if you go by that poll. But they are ranked inside the top 11, I think it is, in all the polls. Their RPI is very, very good. I'll go over that in just a little bit. But why do you have to have, if you're South Carolina, why does it seem like, guys, that they always have these distractions when something good is going on? There's got to be something or some people or somebody to create a disturbance, to take your eye off the ball, if I may use a baseball cliche. You take your eye off the ball, and that should be, they should be celebrating without any interference, a terrific series. Every SEC, you realize that 9 of the 14 SEC baseball teams have RPIs of 26 or better. I mean, it's the toughest, I think, well, I'm not going to say ever seen the league, but it's one of the best years in recent years for SEC baseball in terms of the up and down the league competitive nature of it. And they've got they've got a very tough slate coming up. They've already had a tough slate. Instead, Ray Tanner's got to deal with this. He has to put something out on Twitter. You got fans saying one thing and other fans saying another thing. And it just takes away from the success of the baseball team, which is the last thing you should have happen here.
Well, Phil, one of the things is, I think it's just the students going out there having a good time. For most of them, just getting out there now, getting into a sporting event, and a baseball team is playing well. And one of the things, even with all this going on, each time they've had one of these little a team has had a dust up, I guess, with the student section, the baseball team has responded by just killing the next couple of innings.
Yeah. Well listen, they thrive off of the energy of the ballpark, but there's energy, and then there's I'm not going to say it was chaos, but in a lighter way chaos. I mean, you got, everybody's attention is focused on what's happening behind the dugout. You got fans standing up and they're waving their arms and they're gesturing towards the opposing team. The umpires are up there looking into the stands. Security and the Yellow Jackets are coming down to calm the situation. I mean, really, you had a baseball team that was winning a game, and did they pick up some extra juice because of the excitement behind the dugout? I mean, I don't know. How do you explain that all of a sudden they came out and hit their bats were meeting the baseball in the 8th inning, and they pummeled. They had 5 runs in the 8th inning, I think, yesterday.
Well, Phil,
is that just coincidence, or is that because they got all of a sudden they got excited because their fans were fighting?
I think they it's not so much fighting, but Phil, I think it's like this. I think players enjoy the fans getting behind them, because when you go on the road in this conference, whether it's football or whatever, you're going to get it from the opposing fans, the opposing students, all that other stuff. And I think that the one thing I hate about when you watch these actions on TV is you could have a little thing going on. From what they said was on Sunday, it was more of the umpire taking forever to figure out what was going on, to figure out that there was nothing going on.
Mm-hmm.
But the TV cameras always peer in on one or two people who are moving their arms and moving them out, and sometimes they weren't even a part of the original altercation.
Yeah.
It looks better for TV.
And thank you, Hank. Appreciate the phone call. Smitty, I don't know who's worse right now. Gamecock baseball fans complaining about, can't get in the ball game, can't, razz the opposing team, can't cause a ruckus, or Braves fans who just can't deal with a missed call over 1 out of 162 games. Okay, they blew it. They blew it on the field. They blew it in the review. So be it. But, I mean, it's like through midday today, they're still crying over it. It's one game, people.
Yeah, but I do think it shines a light on something Major League Baseball's got to get its arms around eventually, which is you always have to bring common sense first and foremost to any conversation about instant replay. The issue with instant replay is what we all have seen over and over. The example I keep using is if you go to the replay to look at goaltending and you see that the guy driving the basket stepped out of bounds on the baseline, say he's out of bounds and it's over with. Don't put blinders on and pretend that's not a part of the parameters of what you can observe. I think that we've made too many restrictions trying to protect officials when it comes to instant replay, and we ought to just let them go look at it for 60 seconds, then come back out and tell us what happened. And this is one example of that. Now, I understand you getting tired of the Braves fans' mouths being a Yankees fan. I get that.
Because we don't get any breaks.
No,
that's what I'm saying. I'm used to not getting breaks.
I know, Phil. You had a rough, 125 years of it. I feel you.
I'm hoping that eventually we'll catch a break with one of these calls so we can maybe win another pennant. All right, we'll be right back.
The lady in black doesn't age. She just gets tougher. And Throwback Weekend is when she likes to remind all the friends, families, drivers, and dreamers just how they got here. Business up front and parties in the back. Over 70 years of history held together with one famous black stripe. Too tough to tame? I guess you'll have to find out. Darlington Throwback Weekend, May 7th through 9th. Get your tickets at darlingtonraceway.com.
South Carolina, we just drive.
Looking to lower your auto loan payment? Look no further than Founders Federal Credit Union. Refinance your current auto loan and we will beat your existing rate by 1%. Plus, make no payments for 90 days. Boats, motorcycles, and recreational vehicles are included. Relax with Founders. Don't miss out. Apply today at foundersfcu.com/auto or at an office near you. Terms and conditions apply. Membership qualification required. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA. Current auto loan must be with another financial institution.
The future of golf is waiting for you at the Players Club. Rain, shine, or after dark, you can enjoy the game of golf anytime at Columbia's Indoor Country Club. The Players Club delivers the most realistic golf experience and offers more than 90 championship courses. Play or practice with the same state-of-the-art full-swing simulators used by Tiger Woods and Jordan Spieth. Visit MainCourseSC.com to book a bay and become a player today at the Players Club, part of the Main Course, 1626 Main Street in Columbia.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
If you're looking for a great weekend escape, make for Santee, South Carolina and Clark's Inn and Restaurant. Santee provides the perfect backdrop for recreation and adventure. Clark's provides the perfect backdrop for relaxation. Just minutes from Santee Cooper Lakes and 3 championship golf courses, Clark's Inn and Restaurant is a short drive from wherever you are in the Palmetto State. Since 1946, the Clark's Hospitality has been making Santee easy to find, but hard to leave. Visit ClarksInnandRestaurant.com today.
Enjoy life to the fullest with tasty peanuts that pack a lot of flavor. When it comes to eating peanuts, the research is clear. Peanuts improve your health. Peanuts, a snack that gives back. Crack some open today for a nutritious, sustainable, and earth-friendly treat. Be sure to stop by your local grocery store produce section to pick up a bag of roasted in-shell peanuts. Brought to you by the South Carolina Peanut Board. Visit aboutpeanuts.com for delicious peanut-based recipes.
Hey folks, mortgage rates have dipped to their lowest levels in recent history, and with home values up in many areas, now may be the perfect time to refinance your home. Whether you're looking to lower your monthly payments, free up cash for home improvements, or just pay off your home faster, a quick call to the one and only Stuart Wingo of Ameris Bank could save you money. If you're looking for competitive rates and exceptional service, call Stuart Wingo, 803-319-1777. That's 803-319-1777. You will save money just like I have so many times over the years. You can also visit him, amerisbank.com/Stuart Wingo. Stuart Wingo, the man with the plan for all your mortgage needs.
Life, it has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
All right, back on Sports Talk. Now, remember, we love you to hear us over one of our great radio stations around South Carolina. They're the best, but I do understand that sometimes they leave us or you leave them, and you want to find us. We are now streaming, of course, on Twitter at SportsTalkSC, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Sports Talk Media Network on Facebook, Sports Talk Media Network on YouTube. Sign up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got plenty of room for you there to do that, and it's free. Everything we do is free. We just give away the house here on Sports Talk. And we also have our tremendous high-quality audio stream from our website, SportsTalkSC.com. Just go to where it says Listen to the Sports Talk stream. Click on that, and it'll take you right to the airwaves. So if you lose us for whatever reason and you want to stay with us, and we appreciate that, that's how you can do it. Now we give you the recruiting report tonight. You ever done recruiting before, Mr. Burton?
I have not, sir. I would have stolen it from you had I done it. So, no.
You'll get your chance. You'll be blessed or cursed with this one day. Brought to you by Seawells. And, of course, we encourage you to go out to Seawells every Monday through Friday for their delicious lunch buffet. It's really good, Chris.
I have eaten Seawells. Yes, outstanding food.
Outstanding. And, of course, they have the daily luncheon buffet from 11 till 2. They have outside dining if you prefer that. And inside, they got plenty of space. So it's very, very safe. It's very well done. And don't forget that they are the best in the catering business. And I hope, Smitty, when you were at the Lawrence wedding, I hope they used Seawells as their caterers.
Yeah, I think they did. I knew they were from out of town. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
That's all I can do.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to kiss the bride?
I did not. I was actually not allowed within 100 yards of the wedding. I was outside with the rest of the paparazzi. I was joking earlier about being up there, being able to touch his hair. Of course, I have never touched Trevor Lawrence's hair. I've stood right there next to him, and I don't quite see what you see in him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a good-looking guy, but the way that you wiggle in your seat, it makes me very uncomfortable.
Well,
I don't quite see it that way.
He basically looks like a Greek god statue to me, to be honest with you.
He's Adonis,
with
isn't
the
he?
high cheekbones. I mean, you notice those sort of things.
You know who also looks like that?
I think I have high cheekbones.
Is Will Zalatoris. Speaking of golf.
Anybody that has a 28-inch waist, I got real issues with. I have a 28-inch waist since I was about 15 years old. So I got a real problem with that, Smitty. Well, Smitty, you got about a 28-inch waist, don't you?
No, I'm actually going to a wedding this weekend, and I've had to get some new pants. So
another wedding.
You have not been a good influence on me, Corn.
I'm sorry.
I think some of our sponsors, including Seawells, are to blame for this.
Oh, well, listen, I hate to say it. If you eat enough Seawells, you're going to put some LBs on because it's healthy food, especially the banana pudding. So Seawells, 1125 Rosewood Drive. And for their number, 803-771-7385 and SeawellsCateringSC.com. So in recruiting tonight, again, South Carolina got the commitment over the weekend from the transfer shooting guard. We're going to hear from him coming up in just a little bit. Eric Stevenson, he's out of the state of Washington. He's transferring from Washington. And last season, he averaged 9 points a game. His figures don't indicate he's a great shooter. 36% from the floor, 30% from three, 79% from the line, and he averaged about 4 rebounds and 2 assists per game. Saw action in all 26 games with 23 starts, averaged 26 minutes a game, had double-figure scoring in 12 games, and was second on the team in three-pointers made with 37. So he wasn't bashful about putting it up there. We're going to talk to him coming up in just a little bit. Meantime, also in basketball, 6'10" Noah Clowney of Dorman was offered by Clemson, Georgia Tech, Providence, and Appalachian State. Former Clemson guard Clyde Trapp is going to Charlotte. Former Furman star 6'8" Noah Gurley is going to Alabama. From Stock Risers, Clemson, Indiana, and Texas A&M are the programs that have reached out to Louisville transfer Josh Nickelberry. He's a former 4-star out of North Carolina, and he's one of the best scorers in North Carolina history. In football, receiver Dane Key, 6'2", 170, Lexington, Kentucky. He is a 4-star, number 2 rated player in the state, and number 31 nationally among receivers, 24/7 Sports Composite. His dad is a linebackers coach at his school, and he played for Kentucky in the early 90s. However, that hadn't stopped others from making a strong pitch for him. He has a top 10 of USC, Kentucky, Virginia, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Oregon, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Virginia Tech, and Purdue. And he says, really, not about where he lives or where his dad plays. It'll be about where he finds the right fit for him. He's been in touch with USC defensive coordinator Clayton White quite a bit. Clayton White was at Western Kentucky, and Key's brother played for him or played at Western Kentucky when White was there. So White immediately reached out to Dane Key when he got to Columbia. And, of course, they have a good relationship. And now Justin Stepp, the Gamecocks receivers coach, is recruiting him hard as well and talking to Key's mom and his dad and the whole family, according to Key. He did a long Zoom with the Gamecocks, the entire staff, and he does a FaceTime with Stepp about once a week. And he said the Zoom was about 3 days after they offered him, and he was really impressed with everything that they showed him. And his dad has told him what it's like to play in Williams-Brice and how loud it is. He told him it was one of the loudest places he's ever played in. Key is also a high-level baseball player, and he's focusing on baseball right now, recruiting later. But he does want to play college football. That's his dream, and the NFL is his goal. Defensive end Cyrus Moss of Vegas has Clemson in his top 5, along with Oregon, Florida State, Notre Dame, and Arizona State. USC target defensive tackle Aaron Bryant has set an official at Texas June 25th. And Clemson target defensive tackle Hero Canoe of California was offered by Florida. And we'll be back after the break.
The only afternoon local talk radio in Columbia is the Afternoon Drive with Kev. It's all about you. It's your phone calls. It's my challenging topics. All the news, traffic, and weather weekdays, 4 p.m. on The Point.
Press that button, home stew.
WQXL Columbia, W264DM.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. Authorities say a confrontation in a Tennessee high school responding to a report of a possible armed man left one person dead and an officer wounded.
Police say no other persons were killed or wounded, and the scene has been secured at the Austin East Magnet High School in Knoxville following the afternoon shooting. Authorities said only that a male was deceased, but added another person was detained for further investigation. A Knoxville police officer was struck at least one time and transported to the hospital with injuries that are not expected to be life-threatening. One male was pronounced dead at the scene. Ken Lorman reporting.
The school was the subject of media reports in February after 3 students were shot to death over a 3-week span. Those earlier shootings did not take place in the school, and administrators at the time said students felt the Arts Magnet School was a safe space. according to a story in the Knoxville News Sentinel. The police chief in a Minneapolis suburb where a black man was fatally shot during a traffic stop Sunday says he believes the officer who fired intended to use a taser, not a handgun. Police Chief Tim Gannon described the shooting of 20-year-old Dante Wright as an accidental discharge. More than 3 months after the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol, Congress is still trying to figure out how to move forward and prevent future attacks.
A top priority for lawmakers is deciding what to do with the tall black fence that's been surrounding the Capitol since January 6th. Another focus is the Capitol Police. They were badly outnumbered the day of the riot. The House Administration Committee, which oversees the Capitol Police, will be holding a hearing on Thursday of this week to examine an internal agency report looking at the mistakes that were made that day. A separate panel is investigating the events of January 6th and questioning law enforcement leaders about how to best move forward. Bob Agnew reporting.
The Dow down by 55 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
A heart attack? He was 47. What about Janice and the kids? Do they have life insurance?
No.
Call SelectQuote now and get the insurance your family needs at a price you can afford.
In minutes, SelectQuote found John, 45, in excellent health, a $500,000 policy for only $29 a month. And his wife, Ann, 43, in excellent health, a $500,000 policy for only $21 a month.
At SelectQuote, we comparison shop some of the most trusted insurance companies in America to find you the best rate in minutes. And it's free.
For your free quote, call 1-800-644-1331. That's 1-800-644-1331. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-644-1331.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save.
Get full details on the example policies at selectquote.com/commercials. Your premium could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
The European Union's policing agency has warned that the coronavirus pandemic has created ideal conditions for organized crime to thrive.
The warning is stark. Europol says serious and organized crime has never posed as high a threat to the EU and its citizens as it does today, threatening to undermine institutions and society. In 1 year, criminals are estimated to have made $160 billion in the EU, equivalent to 1% of the bloc's GDP. Criminal groups are adapting fast to the coronavirus pandemic, selling fake protective gear initially, now counterfeit vaccines and testing kits. Home working provides opportunities for cyber criminals to exploit. There are other worrying trends, with criminal groups increasingly using violence, including contract killings and torture.
BBC correspondent Danny Everhart reporting. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear skies heading into Tuesday. Our overnight low dips to 55 tomorrow, much like what we've had today with sunshine-filled skies and a high temp reaching 83. For Wednesday, look for a mix of sunshine and some clouds with a 30% chance of an afternoon shower. Thursday and Friday are cooler, but nice overall. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Come on, hit it. Do it. You know you want to.
Welcome back to Sports Talk across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and streaming live at SportsTalkSC.com and on Twitter at SportsTalkSC. Use the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call Phil and Matt at 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now let's get back to Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Matt Smith.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Good to have you with us on this Monday edition of Sports Talk, where we've introduced Chris Bergen as a member of the Sports Talk family. He'll be on with us as a co-host along with Pat Daniel, and Smitty will be moving on to do other things within our operation, but also making appearances on the show and continuing to help us cover sporting events here around the state of South Carolina. More of your calls coming up, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. here on Sports Talk. And we'll hear from USC football coach Shane Beamer coming up a little bit later on as well. But, over the weekend, South Carolina picked up another player out of the transfer portal, John, as I like to call it, because we're flushing people out of a school and into another school. And a player the Gamecocks picked up over the weekend from the University of Washington, Eric Stevenson, joining us here on Sports Talk. Eric, good evening. How are you?
Good evening, man. Thanks for having me. I'm pretty good. How you doing?
Hey, we're doing fine. Thank you for joining us, and congrats on your decision to come to South Carolina. Give us some idea how this all came together for you.
Oh, yeah, man. I played Coach Martin in South Carolina my sophomore year down there in Mexico, and had a good experience against them and like how they played and like how Coach Martin ran his team. I think he's a really good coach. I think he knows what he's doing, and that's pretty much why I came to South Carolina. We had a previous relationship, and I really respect him.
What did you like about Coach Martin?
I hold his guys accountable. And the culture there is defense and toughness. And those things win games. And so that's something I'd like to be a part of, and and kind of turn it around and get back to the tournament.
So when you put your name into the portal, I guess they reached out to you. Maybe you reached out to them. You guys got together. And what was it about your conversations with him and assistant coaches that led you to believe that this was the right place for you? And I'd also seen BYU and I think Butler, those other two schools had been reported as kind of being pretty strong in there with you.
Yeah. They reached out to me pretty late, actually, of being in the portal. I don't think they knew I was in the portal for a while. But then they reached out and we got to talking about, style of play and fit and how coach would use me and how I'd like to fit and all that. And it sounded like a really, really good opportunity. And so I talked it over with my people, did my research and watched film on them. And, here I am today.
Yeah. So what should South Carolina fans expect to see from you? What do you see as the best parts of your game?
Obviously I'm known as, a perimeter guy that can knock down the jumper, but I got to be more consistent with that, right? So, being in the system where guys are going to, the ball's going to be moving, guys are going to be comfortable where the ball is going to be at certain times, and they're going to know where, they're going to be able to get a shot off, and it's going to be successful for the team. And so, obviously I'm going to find my comfort level with the guys in the system and be able to knock down a shot or two from the outside, but also make plays for teammates, and be an unselfish guy on the team. As well as, be a solid defender and be a pesky guy and, try and help be a leader on the team.
Sure.
Eric Stevenson joining us now, transfer guard to South Carolina here on Sports Talk. And Eric, I'm curious, with all the controversy or at least the turmoil here the last couple of weeks revolving around the South Carolina program and whether or not Coach Martin was going to be retained, how much did you keep an eye on that? And was there a thought in the back of your mind that maybe USC wasn't the place you wanted to land?
Yeah, I mean, I saw talks about him, wanting to go somewhere else or, the school parting ways with him and whatnot. But, obviously he signed a 2-year extension and, we talked about that a little bit. So he gave me no indication that, he wanted to leave. So, that was pretty much the icing on the cake for me.
The Pac-12 really proved itself in the NCAA tournament. I got to believe you're pretty proud of your old league there. How tough was the league this year?
Man, it's weird. I mean, I'll speak on, the University of Washington team. We had a really talented backcourt for sure. Things just didn't work out well. We didn't mesh well together. And other factors played in a part, but, that happens, right? And so, they made the Pac-12 much tougher on us. Because the Pac-12 is usually really, really talented.
Mm-hmm.
Especially offensively. And it was this year. We had a hard time stopping people, and obviously the Pac-12 held it down in the tournament. Which is something that nobody expected. But yeah, I mean, I'd say it was tougher than I expected, to be honest. But also there were some other factors in there that made it tougher on us. From a chemistry standpoint and just a meshing standpoint.
What are you expecting SEC basketball to be like?
From what I've played the SEC in my career, really up and down, physical, athletic, just I can't say ugly brand of basketball, but it's not finesse, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I think you used a good word.
Yeah, it's not. I can't say it's ugly, but it's definitely not pretty, if it makes sense, man. It's athletic and it's tough. It's up and down, and you're gonna have to be tough and physical to win games and see, man.
Eric Stevenson with us here this evening on Sports Talk. And Eric, you got a chance at Washington to open up the season against Baylor. They ultimately went on to win the national championship. They had old guards, an old team. When you guys saw them early in the season, did you see potentially a national championship caliber opponent across from you?
Yeah, there was no question about it, man. Those guards are really, really good. Their bigs really knew their role. Pretty much defend, roll to the rim, and throw the ball in the rim as hard as I can. So playing against that team it's nothing new. Because at Wichita State we played some really, really good teams, right? We actually played that Baylor team a little bit different personnel wise, but yeah, man, it showed me what a national championship caliber team is like. So it was no surprise when they won it, to be honest.
Yeah, that was a talented team that it all came together for them at the right time. So you spent your first 2 years at Wichita before transferring back to your home state. You're from Washington. You go back to Washington. Of course, you played for somebody near and dear to our hearts in Greg Marshall, who's a South Carolina native. And, well, not native, but I think he was born in Virginia. And anyway, basically kind of grew up in South Carolina. But anyway, he has strong ties to our state. What about what happened with him there? What was your experience like with him? Good, bad, indifferent? What'd you think about what happened to him at the end there?
Man, people kind of have a misunderstanding of how that went on. People think, obviously we had our issues, right? But, I love how he coached, on the court. I love how he held us accountable. He taught me a lot about the game. And, I've told many people he's one of the best basketball brains I've been around. There's no question about it. There was just, some other things that went on that I don't think I wanted to be a part of, right? And so, I'm not saying anything negative about it, man. It's just we had two different opinions, just like many other people did, and it is what it is, man. He's a great basketball coach. Definitely. I told people he's the best basketball brain that I've ever learned from.
Mm-hmm.
From an IQ and knowing the game and knowing how to cut, how to move, how to defend. Like, I credit a lot of my IQ to him. There's no question about it, man.
Eric, can you give us an idea as to what this season was like for you and your teammates dealing with COVID, having to go through the protocols, whether or not you were going to play a game, whether it might be canceled? What was this season like for you? And is this one that you'll long remember maybe for the wrong reasons because of how difficult it was to get through?
Yeah, man, it was tough. It was frustrating. I don't think the COVID bug really hit us all that bad, man, but it definitely prevented us, from doing the things that I think a good team does, which is, team bonding. Going out to eat with the guys, seeing a movie, spending time getting to know the guys. Because you can have all the talent in the world, all the size, athleticism, whatever you want to call it, but if your guys don't get along, you're not going to be very good. And so COVID really took that aspect away from us, as well as every other team. And so, I think what prevailed in college basketball this year was obviously talent helps, but experience, knowing your teammates previously, and so that's why Baylor was so good, because those guys were all, especially those guards, they were all there for a while and they knew each other and they were brothers, man. You could tell by the way they played.
What's your plan now with South Carolina moving forward? When do you arrive? When do you enroll in school and start participating with the team?
Yeah, we haven't really touched on that yet. They're still figuring out the dates and when I need to be down there, whatnot. People may think I'm crazy, but I'm driving down there actually. Yeah, so it'd be like probably a 3.5 day journey. isn't, you know, it isn't bad for me. I don't mind driving across the country. I drove to Wichita, so just another 10, 12 hours on top of it.
Eric, pack lightly. I don't know if anyone's told you, but it is hot here in South Carolina during the summertime.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's hot and humid.
No question. But you're not now. Where you grew up in the state of Washington? What part of the state did you grow up in?
Yeah, so I grew up an hour south of Seattle in Lacey, Olympia area, where it doesn't get very hot, doesn't get very humid. So I'm gonna have to get used to wearing shorts and a tee or whatever you want to call it, and hopefully I get a little tan.
Yeah, that'll happen. Hey, we appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on and being a part of our program tonight. All the best to you, and look forward to seeing you with the Gamecocks. Now, you'll have 2 years at Wichita and a year at Washington, so you'll have, and you get a year back. You could have up to, 2 years left with the Gamecocks if you choose?
Yeah, I have 2 years of eligibility remaining, yes.
That's terrific. Well, listen, thanks very much, and look forward to seeing you here in Columbia.
Thanks, man. I look forward to getting down there.
You got it, my man. All right, Eric Stevenson, newest member of the Gamecock basketball program. So, guys, if you look at the Gamecock roster as it stands now, and he's going to still lose some players because they're over the limit. They've got now Seventh Woods decides to come back, which I'm keeping him on the roster right now until we hear otherwise. So you got Seventh Woods, Jacoby Wright, and Chico Carter, all 6'2", Stevenson 6'3", Devin Carter 6'4", Carlos Williams is 6'5", A.J. Lawson, if he comes back, 6'6", Trey Anderson 6'6", Javon Benson 6'7", A.J. Wilson 6'7", Alonzo Frank 6'8", 6'8", Taquan Woodley 6'9", Trayvon Minot, and 6'10", Wildens Levesque. That's what their roster looks like at this point in time. But again, there's going to be more changes. John Woodley, the Big Spur, talked to Carlos Williams the other day over the weekend, and he's not supposed to sign until April 26th. And, Williams told him he's been talking to South Carolina. He may go junior college first. There's some stuff like that he's been talking to them about. Or he might go somewhere else, or he still might come into South Carolina.
Getting big guards anymore, Phil, I think is critically important. You lose a guy like Jermaine Cousinardi who's 6'4". Stevenson might be able to fill that role. You've got to be big. If you watch Baylor, because of their size and defense, length is important.
Okay, we'll be back after the break here on Sports Talk.
The lady in black doesn't age. She just gets tougher. And Throwback Weekend is when she loves to remind all the friends, families, drivers, and dreamers just how they got here. Business up front and parties in the back. Over 70 years of history held together with one famous black stripe. Too tough to tame? I guess you'll have to find out. Darlington Throwback Weekend, May 7th through 9th. Get your tickets at darlingtonraceway.com.
South Carolina is just right.
Founders is offering a low-rate mortgage with up to $4,000 in closing costs to full-time hospital employees, honoring your frontline efforts against COVID-19. With no PMI, no origination fee, and no limit on the loan amount, you can't go wrong. Visit founders.com/HEC and apply for your hospital employee choice mortgage today. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply. Institution NMLS identifier number 410646. Founders is an equal housing lender and is federally insured by the NCUA.
The Southeastern Institute of Manufacturing and Technology at Florence Darlington Technical College specializes in sophisticated manufacturing services and workforce development training. The SIMT offers rapid prototyping, additive manufacturing, advanced machining, and business incubation services to clients from across the state and nation, plus social media listening services and rentals of conferencing and training spaces. The SIMT also houses an 800-seat auditorium, a conference center that can seat more than 1,200 for dinner or a luncheon, and numerous classroom spaces with state-of-the-art presentation technologies. Visit our website at simt.com or call 866-304-7468 for more information. The SIMT, technology to grow your business.
Welcome to Tiny Stories. Today we're with Sonia, who recently won $500 on a scratch-off.
I am such a loser.
I'm so confused.
Ever been to a family reunion?
Not if I can help it.
My dad's family rents a beach house every year. I've always said I can't afford to go.
I am so sorry.
I'm assigned a sleeping bag on the porch with cousins I've never met.
Been there. Even got the t-shirt.
You may be cousin Tina.
No. You know what? That's it for the South Carolina Education Lottery. Tell your story at tellyourtinystory.com.
Looking for the perfect golf retreat? Championship courses at an affordable rate? Look at Clarkson and Restaurant in Santee, South Carolina, located minutes from 3 championship courses. Clarkson offers customized, affordable golf packages, relaxing rooms, and great food. Visit clarksonandrestaurant.com to plan your golf retreat. clarksonandrestaurant.com, easy to find, hard to leave.
Hi, this is Phil Kornblut of Sports Talk here with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. What words of wisdom do you have for those hitting the water this summer?
Phil, collisions can be prevented easily if every vessel operator fulfills 3 major responsibilities. 1, practice good seamanship. It's the responsibility of every boat or PWC operator to take all necessary action to avoid a collision. 2, keep a proper lookout. Failing to keep a sharp lookout is the most common cause of boating collisions. And finally, maintain a safe speed. Remember, boat safe, boat smart.
The future of golf is waiting for you at the Players Club. Rain, shine, or after dark, you can enjoy the game of golf anytime at Columbia's Indoor Country Club. The Players Club delivers the most realistic golf experience and offers more than 90 championship courses. Play or practice with the same state-of-the-art full-swing simulators used by Tiger Woods and Jordan Spieth. Visit MainCourseSC.com to book a bay and become a player today at the Players Club, part of the Main Course 1626 Main Street in Columbia. Stay tuned. More Sports Talk is coming up on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Again, thanks to Eric Stevenson for being with us, guys. Smitty, I thought he was great. I like the way he kind of talked to us and sounded. I mean, he's got a little bit of that cocky edge to him, I think. You think?
Yeah, I thought he was quite confident, and I liked that he didn't. I mean, he did not. I thought he parsed his words carefully in that he didn't want to make headlines about Greg Marshall, and he probably won't. But I think we got the picture. As he said, there were things there he didn't want to be a part of. That was quite interesting. And also that he liked Frank Martin's offensive system. Now, for those of us that have watched the last year plus, we're not sure exactly what that system is. He mentioned open shots, of which I can tell you there have been precious few for the guards in the last couple of years. So he's going to have to, I think, help that offense along if he wants to get open looks. Because right now, until their point guard play improves, nobody's helping find open looks for any sharpshooters on the perimeter.
Chris, what'd you make of everything that happened with Frank Martin at the end of the Gamecock season and culminating in the announcement on Friday about the reworked contract and just moving forward with him at least for the next season and perhaps longer?
Not sure South Carolina, Phil, could have handled it any worse. The whole scenario of whether or not, well, first off, we don't, and some of the reporting that you had I thought was outstanding about hoping that he might find a new job and they wouldn't have to fire him. I think universally Frank Martin is a well-liked coach, and I think everybody understood what they went through this season with COVID, and it's really difficult to lose weeks at a time in a sport where repetition is so important, much like basketball is. And then to have the coach have it twice, it was a tough season. I always felt like they should bring him back anyway and give him another opportunity to turn the corner. But the way the last couple of weeks rolled into the offseason, then you have players starting to leave. The whole scenario, I don't think South Carolina could have handled any worse. And then a turnaround and, oddly enough, give him a little bit of an extension in his contract, I think is somewhat puzzling too. But I'm not sure he could have recruited and continued to try and turn the corner without that. So they boxed themselves into a really bad corner, and I don't think worked themselves out of it all that well.
Yeah, it was bizarre, to say the least. And, we'll see what Frank Martin can do. To his credit, he is trying to rebuild his roster off the transfer portal. That's no way to really build a team for the long term. I mean, the transfer portal is good for filling in holes here and there, and he's got gaping holes in his roster now with the players who are departing. So it will, time will tell if these guys can all mesh. The thing about his team, the one really good team, well, let me say he's had more than one really good team, but the really special team, the Final Four team, the reason they were so good is because they all grew up together.
Old guards, too.
Old guards. They all grew up together. They meshed. They had unbelievable chemistry on that team by the time they started making their tournament run. Of course, winning will do that for any team. You wonder if you're putting these pieces together for just a year, which is what Martin is looking at. I mean, he's got to – I don't know what Caslin and Tanner will be requiring of him for next year, guys. Smitty, do you think he's got to make the NCAA tournament to have a new contract done and extend his life here, or can he get by with an NIT appearance next year and things get back to and then they go in and redo the contract and go back to kind of like the way they were?
I am really going to hesitate before making any predictions about what the Board of Trustees or Robert Caslin or Ray Tanner are going to think about the basketball position next season. I do think, however, that Frank Martin needs to show some serious growth for the program. And by that, I mean there has to be some positive momentum. And there hasn't been a lot of that. There's been precious little of that since the Final Four run. Something good needs to happen. Like one of these players that's transferring in really needs to emerge and develop, a la Chris Silva, a la just kind of a PJ Dozier, kind of have a coming out season. I think that would really help. The fans need something to grasp on too as well. That was not an exciting team to watch this past season unless, you were an Auburn fan and you were watching them put up triple digits. It was not fun to watch South Carolina play basketball. That needs to come back to this program. I don't know what prediction you could make. I honestly don't think next year is going to go a whole lot better. And with only a $3 million buyout, I feel like Frank Martin has likely just bought himself a season. I don't know where this program's going. I hope I'm wrong for the sake of the fan base and all those players. They're going to put in the time next year. I just don't know that this group can, as you pointed out, can come together, mesh, and do well enough in the SEC to impress the Board of Trustees and the donors.
It's got to start on the defensive side.
Absolutely. And Smitty hit the point. I'm not sure you can put a win-loss total on this team for next year. They have to win 18 games. They have to win 22 games. They have to qualify for the NCAA tournament, because if you put that requirement on any coach, as we have seen over the history of USC basketball, that's a pretty lofty expectation to get them to the NCAA tournament on a regular basis. But one thing you have to see them do, and Smitty, I think they've got to get competitive again. Whether or not they win ball games, they've just got to look like a competitive basketball team. There were games most of the back half of last season where they just weren't even competitive. It was an embarrassment to watch.
Indeed. Smitty mentioned the Auburn game. There were two SEC teams that put over 100 points against them. I think they were last in the SEC in scoring defense. I mean, just because they gave up like 80-something points a game in SEC play. It was pretty bad, and so we'll see what they can do with basically a remade roster. And they're not done yet. We talked about the transfer from North Dakota who's looking at them, the kid whose dad played in the NBA for 5 years, 6'9", 6'10" kid. Someone they're interested in and someone that they've been talking to. We'll see if that continues. In the meantime, we're going to hit a break, and when we come back, we'll hear from USC football coach Shane Beamer. Gamecocks did not practice today. We did hear from some defensive players talking about the new 4-2-5 scheme. Beamer's going to touch on the offense, the defense, the special teams, and some injuries and all that from the scrimmage. That's coming up.
Hi, this is Marcia Kleiman.
And I'm Karen Pickard. We're your hosts for the Positive Point on Aging.
We'll talk about aging gracefully and senior care every Tuesday morning from 8:30 to 9 o'clock a.m.
Join us right here on the Point for the Positive Point on Aging.
Brought to you by Oakley Village of Lexington.
Right now, we all might feel a little disconnected. For seniors living alone with smaller social circles, feelings of loneliness and isolation can feel overwhelming. But there's something we can all do to help. With your older Willie and have the conversation of a lifetime with StoryCorps Connect. Anyone can conduct an interview, and every interview will be archived at the Library of Congress, becoming part of American history. Connect, honor, share at StoryCorpsConnect.org/AARP. A message from AARP, StoryCorps, and the Ad Council.
Do you dance badly or hug in public? That's okay. You don't have to be perfect to be the perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care would love to put up with you. Call 1-888-200-4005 or visit AdoptUsKids.org for more information. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt Us Kids, and the Ad Council.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Biden wants Congress to know he's sincere about cutting a deal on infrastructure, but Republican lawmakers have deep-seated doubts about the scope of his proposed package, its tax hikes, and Biden's premise that this is an inflection point for the U.S. as a world power. Biden met Monday afternoon with a bipartisan group of lawmakers and insisted the Oval Office gathering was not window dressing. One of the core disputes is over what counts as infrastructure in his $2.3 trillion proposal. And a fundamental disagreement has emerged about whether the United States is losing its status atop the global economy because of its deteriorating infrastructure. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 55 points, the Nasdaq dropped 50, the S&P down a fraction, oil up to $59.70 a barrel on the New York Mercantile Exchange. This is SRN News.
Oh, good, you're home. I need your help.
Doing what?
Replacing our old light bulbs with these new energy-efficient LEDs.
Where did you get these?
Dominion Energy. I ordered direct from their online store. LEDs for every room, all at huge discounts.
Oh, really?
Yes, really. And my 15-bulb order got us free shipping.
Sounds too good to be true.
See for yourself at DominionEnergySC.com.
Where?
DominionEnergySC.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
One thing you hear on The Point all day long, it's be intentional. You hear it from our local and national hosts, and I practice what I preach. So when it comes to my biggest financial investment, my home, well, I'm pretty intentional. I had Allstate Seamless Gutter come out, and they fixed me up. Think about this. You spend between, $800, $1,500 on gutters for your house. That's an intentional investment. It protects your home against so many things that can cost thousands and thousands of dollars later on. Things like mold damage or foundation repairs. And while we're talking about being intentional, when Doug and his team came out, did the job on my home, well, we partnered up to help save you some money. If you call 833-5-GUTTER, tell them you want that point discount, that's 40% off your gutters. Make an intentional decision about your home. Protect your biggest financial investment. They do great work. And you know, I won't endorse Allstate Seamless Gutter if I didn't have them come out and do the work on my own home. Peace of mind and new gutters at a great price. That's being intentional. Allstate Seamless Gutter, 833-5-GUTTER. That's 833-5-GUTTER.
Hello, Midlands. It's Jay here with the Melting Pot. Here's a few questions we get when people call us. Do we serve only chocolate? No, we serve 4 courses, but you can get just chocolate or 4 courses of chocolate. No, you don't have to sit at a big table with strangers around you, but you can sit at a big table with friends around you. You just need to bring the friends with you. We also specialize in having lots of private booths with real walls between them, so you won't feel like a fish in a plexiglass tank. Come and see us at the Melting Pot, 1410 Colonial Life Boulevard.
Have you fallen behind on your taxes and might be facing IRS penalties? Have wage garnishments, levies, or liens? Have unfiled tax returns? You want someone local and qualified. Don't fall for those national spots. Meet with me, Teresa, at Capital City Professional Services, and let me help you through your tax maze. I can help with all your tax resolution issues. There are options to get you back on track. Call Capital City Professional Services, 400-8683. That's 400-8683.
Is that crack in your windshield or your house bothering you?
Have you been meaning to have it replaced but just can't find the time?
Call Absolute Glass, voted Lexington's best glass shop for 12 years in a row.
We repair and replace glass on all makes and models.
We're the only local high-end auto glass specialist in the Midlands, and we'll come to you to make the process quick and easy.
With new technologies and vehicles, we can recalibrate your vehicle back to new.
Visit AbsoluteGlassInc.com to learn more about our auto, home, and business glass services. Just remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
All right, back on Sports Talk. You know, Chris, one of the great places on Pawleys Island is Pawleys, Georgetown, Garden City, Surfside. We love that area, don't we, Smitty?
Oh, my goodness. That's heaven on earth to me. Pawleys Island, Merle's Altars, and Vino on the beach with the breeze blowing. That's where I'm headed.
I think Mr. Lawrence and Mrs. Lawrence probably had some vino on the beach over the weekend. That's another story. We want you to go to Pawleys and to Litchfield, and when you do, before you go, the man to set you up like royalty is James Smith. Jimmy Smith, James Smith Realty, 843-237-4246, PawleysVacationRentals.com. That's PawleysVacationRentals.com. But don't think they only deal with Pawleys Island. Now, there's a lot to deal with there. They got plenty of properties, but they can go in other parts of the Strand. You let them know what you're looking for. You let them know how long you want to be there. If you want to rent, if you want to buy a condo, you want to buy some dirt to build on, you want to buy something that's already built, they can take care of you. Pawleys Vacation Rentals.com. Jimmy Smith, the number 843-237-4246. Again, 843-237-4246. You ever been to Jimmy's office in Pawleys?
Have not, but funny story about that. Over the weekend, my parents are trying to figure out a big family vacation, and one of the websites that I told my mother to check out was his website. And the problem, and I'll go ahead and let you know if you're planning a trip to the beach, get it done now. Do not wait, because everything is filling up, because I think a lot of folks who didn't get a vacation last year because of COVID trying to do it this year for sure.
I think business good.
I would agree.
But I want your mom to use Jimmy, okay?
You got it.
And tell her that she heard it on Sports Talk.
Absolutely.
Don't mention you. Just say, I listened to Sports Talk. I heard them talking about you, and we want to spend a lot of money with you, Jimmy. All right, so Saturday, Shane Beamer, who probably knows Jimmy pretty well and probably has some properties with him down there. In fact, I know he does. He had other things on his mind, not vacation. They still got some more spring practice to do. Vacation can wait. They had their first major scrimmage of spring practice on Saturday. First chance. They didn't go inside the stadium because of the Topgolf thing, you know? So, and you know what? My first reaction to that was, if Ellis Johnson was here, he would be like, you see, there you go. You can't have your stadium occupied by something else and have your football team scrimmage across the street. You know, I know Ellis, he would have said that. But I think they get a pass because they scheduled this thing with Topgolf back like in November. And typically, South Carolina spring practice is done the first part of April, the first week. So they probably didn't realize at the time that things were going to change and that Shane Beamer was going to come in and going to move spring practice way back, and it was going to conflict. Not really that big a deal. They got nice practice fields. So they scrimmaged over there. They'll be in the stadium this coming Saturday. So here is Shane Beamer, some of what he said to us on a Zoom after that first scrimmage on Saturday.
Really pleased for a scrimmage one, like where we are. Obviously, it was important. Point of emphasis was playing clean football. We talk all the time about not beating ourselves by turning the ball over, having pre-snap penalties, mental errors, things like that. For the most part, I think that was good for a first scrimmage. Didn't really have a lot of pre-snap penalties like false starts and offsides and stuff like that. We were really good. Play clock. We had the play clock going. We wanted to be able to make sure offensively we were moving and efficient in regards to getting the plays called, getting the offense in and out of the huddle, and had very, very minimal of those. And a lot of that was probably more on us as coaches than it was the quarterbacks. I thought they operated at a high level. So clean ball, wanted to be able to see us play physical, run the ball, stop the run, and we showed flashes of being able to do both. Continue to be impressed by that defensive line on that first group, JJ and those guys, the way they can rush the passer. Really like what the first offense did today. We were working in multiple quarterbacks with our second offense, so all those guys got some work. Jason, Connor, and Colton. There were some things from an efficiency standpoint with those guys moving through the scrimmage that we need to be better at. But for the most part, they were good, and the physicality was good. And then injury-wise, we got out of it pretty healthy. I think Cam Smith has a little bit of a hamstring. He did not scrimmage today. Xavier Leggett started it and wasn't able to finish it. Nothing major. He'll be fine. Eric Douglas was not able to scrimmage. He has a little minor issue that shouldn't be long-term at all. So we held those guys out. Those were the only new ones that didn't scrimmage and then want to come in. Alex Boogie Huntley as well. He had a little bit of a shoulder issue, probably the first 5 minutes of the scrimmage. That normal person, it may have kept him out for the rest of the scrimmage, but not him. He battled through that and got it fixed by the trainers on the sideline and was right back out there and finished the scrimmage. So it was good to see that, and talk to the guys about that afterwards as well. The mentality that we need to play with all the time, physical and mental toughness, and thought he showed that as well. And it was good overall. As you guys know, we've talked about it. We're thin in some spots, particularly on defense. And when you have guys like Jalen Dickerson, who's out still right now, and then Cam Smith not being able to scrimmage today, that takes an already depleted secondary and makes it even more depleted. So our second team corner today was a young man by the name of James Bartholomew that just arrived on the football team back in January or February in the walk-on tryouts. And he's playing corner today with the second defense. Much respect for him. He made a heck of a play on a 3rd and 1 where he came up in a short yardage situation, tackled a guy on the perimeter for a lost yardage play in a critical situation. So, much respect for him and the way that all of our guys are fighting through some bumps and bruises and showing who we can count on and who's dependable and whatnot, and like where we're headed right now. And really eager to get in here and watch the practice tape here as soon as I get done with you guys, and a lot to build on. So sorry for the extended opening statement, but be glad to take any questions.
How's it going, Shane? Thanks for doing this. At this point, where I guess percentage-wise, where are you guys on in installing what you want to do with your base offense and base defense, or is that even a huge concern at this point?
Oh, it is. I think we're pretty far along. We've installed everything from a situational standpoint for the most part. So we've got our base offense and defense in. We've installed everything from, or not everything. We've installed our base red zone. Excuse me, third down and short yardage goal line package. We have not put in the entire red zone package yet, but for the most part, our base concepts, what we're going to do, are in. And then same thing defensively as well. Is there more that we're going to add as we go through spring? Yes. But we threw quite a bit out on those first 4, 5, 6 days of practice. We really didn't put anything in today. Wanted them just to be able to go out there and play fast. But we've thrown a lot of offense at them so far and a lot of defense at them so far. And see what we do well and what we don't do well. But for the most part, it's the bulk of it is in right now.
Hey, Shane, you mentioned a little about the quarterbacks. I wanted to double check Luke working with the first team, and also what did Luke and what were Luke and Jason kind of able to show you in sort of a scrimmage setting?
Yeah, Luke took the majority of the reps with the first team. I believe all of them, I think about it. We were going to mix some of those other guys in, but situation-wise, Luke was in there majority of the time. Thought he did a great job of just managing the offense, staying poised, trying to be a leader, showing his athleticism. The scrimmages are tough because typically you're going to have somewhat of a quick whistle when that quarterback gets out there in the open field and starts running, or he's in the backfield because he's in a non-contact jersey. So I know the offensive line and offensive coaches are not happy with me right now because I think I had a quick whistle on a couple plays that I'm sure they think Luke would still be running on in a game situation. But I thought Luke did a great job for him to still be a young guy, to show the poise that he showed out there. I thought was really good and made some nice plays. We've got to continue to get better at throwing the ball down the field. We didn't have nearly enough explosive plays today in the passing game. We got to be a lot better. And that's all of us. That's protection. That's the quarterback getting the ball out. That's running backs picking up pressure. That's receivers running the right routes and making plays when plays present themselves. So we've got to be a lot better from that standpoint. But all those quarterbacks, Colton, Connor Jordan got a lot of reps today. He's a guy that, we need to make sure we're talking about. Everybody wants to talk about Colton and Jason, and rightfully so. Connor Jordan's having a heck of a spring and doing a nice job out there for us. He got good reps, and he's a guy that has an edge about him and poise and confidence. And that's the thing. Made some plays. Jason made a nice throw, a deep ball downfield, which was good to see. But I think all those guys did some good stuff, did a lot that we got to correct. And a lot of that, those guys being young, it's just the mechanics of getting the play call, getting out of the huddle. There's a whole heck of a lot happening when you break the huddle, get to the line of scrimmage, and you've got JJ and Jordan Birch and all those guys coming at you as soon as the ball snapped.
You mentioned Eric Douglas being out at center. What was it? One guy in there, or were y'all just kind of rolling guys in and out up front?
Yeah, train as many guys as we could, up front. So obviously you've got to have a couple of them, and we're trying to train as many guys as we can there. And then they've been getting reps there throughout, spring practice as well. So it wasn't anything new today.
Shane, what have you seen from the running back room so far, especially today? And what has Zaquandre White showed you through the first couple practices?
Loves Zaquandre's just energy that he brings every single day. He comes to work, practice field, weight room. He's got the same mentality every single day. I still remember when our very first walkthrough that we're able to have before spring practice, when you can't even use a ball. But I remember we simulated handing a ball off to him, and then just the energy and the speed, and he took off running like 40 yards downfield like it's a game rep. And I'm sitting there looking at him like, what the heck is he doing? And JJ and some of those guys on defense were like, Coach, I see him every single play. That's just the way he is. And I love it. I wish we had more guys like that energy. He's been fantastic. And he's a physical guy that is on a mission and has a lot of confidence in himself and is having a nice spring. Kevin did some good things today. Harris, Rashad Amos, had some nice runs. Continuing to all those guys, not just carrying the football, but running routes and pass protection and all that stuff that you got to have. So there's certainly some good things they did today. And then a lot that, we had a fumble in a short yardage situation, 3rd and 1, and we've got to get the first down, or at worst, we're going forward on 4th down or punting, and we fumbled the football. We can't have that. But those guys, for the most part, did a good job at the ball security, and just continuing to kind of see who those guys are that we can depend on.
Shane, I know that you said you were not able to throw the ball down the field today, but, what have been your thoughts on how the receivers have progressed this spring?
Really, really, really like them and what they're doing. I think Coach Stepp's done a fantastic job. We do after every practice, Coach Limbo and the special teams staff, they determine a special teams player of the day for everything that we're doing in special teams. And we're doing quite a bit. I mean, you count the walkthrough, we're doing 5, 15, 25. We're doing close to 25, 30 minutes of special teams work every single day. And the last 3 practices, our special teams player of the day has been a receiver, Carry-On Joyner, Trey Atkins, and Xavier Leggett. So love the way they're working and the toughness and the mentality, the physicality that they're trying to bring to the position. I think all those guys have done some good things. AB, Marion Brown made a nice play yesterday. EJ continues to make nice catches. Jalen Brooks has really flashed and done some great things. Josh Van, Rico, Ortrey's done a lot. I mean, I don't want to name, I know I'm forgetting people, but really that whole group, I've been impressed with. I mean, they've heard the talk out there. I'm sure they're human about what they aren't. And I sit there and look at them and I see a group that's working their butts off and making a bunch of competitive catches and continuing to try and make plays and working against that defensive back group each day. They're competing and making each other better.
Jay, I think you mentioned early on just with the explosive plays and trying to get the ball to go down the field. How much is that quarterback comfortability of willing to sit in that pocket and take that chance? And how do you have to work on that in practice to get those quarterbacks to believe that play is down there to make?
No, I think sitting in the pocket's not a problem. I think Coach Satt and those quarterbacks have done a great job from a fundamental standpoint with stepping up in the pocket. Now it's just, understanding that we got some young quarterbacks, don't get me wrong, and the windows here in the SEC are going to close a little bit quicker and not be quite as open as maybe they were for Jason Brown at St. Francis. And they sure as heck are going to close a lot quicker and not be as open as they were for Colton last year playing high school football. So I think it's just a sense of understanding what's open, what's not open at this level, trusting it, being able to throw the ball when all heck's breaking loose around you. But if they were skittish back there and not willing to sit in the pocket, I'd be concerned. I'm not, because they're doing a great job of being willing to sit in the pocket. Now we got to take that next step where they know where they're going with the football. They're making quick decisions and they're getting the ball out of their hands. We had some sacks today where those guys probably held on to the ball a little bit too long as opposed to just getting rid of the ball, to an open receiver. So that's the one thing that we got to continue to improve on.
Hey, Shane, with kind of the state of your secondary at this point, what are sort of the things that you can learn and some of the things you maybe can't learn from kind of watching that group in this kind of scrimmage setting?
Yeah, good question. Like I said, we're thin back there. I mean, normally in a scrimmage, anywhere I've been, you've always your quote unquote first offense has worked against your first defense, and your second offense versus your second defense, and your third offense versus your third defense. And we don't have a third defense right now. Our third defense is basically the second defense and a few guys that maybe are on that third group. And so our 3s versus 3s today, I think we got a total of 6 plays because pretty much that third group is the second group defensively. But what you can see is the guys that are out there, the execution. Can they get lined up? Can they execute the call that Coach White has called? Can they execute what Coach Gray's asking of them from a technique standpoint? Can they do their job? Can they play physical? O'Donnell Fortune made a heck of a play today on a short yardage situation where he came downhill and made a heck of a tackle, a physical tackle at the line of scrimmage. Being able to see that, Jalen and those guys back there just doing a really, really, really good job of just trying to play physical. Communication is key. Being able to talk back there and make sure we're all on the same page and executing the call, and all 11 of us are doing what we're supposed to be doing, getting guys lined up. So from the naked eye, just watching at first glance, I thought they did a good job of that, and that's certainly something you can see. And then the mental toughness and the physical toughness, just because they're taking a lot of reps, because we don't have a lot of guys out there, so there's not like they're getting many blows during the scrimmage. We're trying to take care of them, but they're working hard, and you're seeing how important it is to a lot of those guys.
All right, there you go, Shane Beamer. What do you think about Shane? Over his, let's see, he got there in let's say December, January, February, March, about 4 months. What do you think about what you're hearing?
I mean, his energy is infectious, isn't it? It somewhat reminds me, and I'm not trying to compare the two because obviously their careers aren't even close to being comparable, but he reminds me of when Dabo Sweeney talks about his team. So much positive energy. Everybody's performing at a high level. It sounds great now. Now, whether or not that's going to translate into wins on the football field come September remains to be seen. But I don't think if you're a Carolina fan, you've got to at least be pleased with what you're hearing coming out of spring practice so far.
All right, Smitty, we got to put Chris to the test here and ask him the always important question. How many wins do you see for the Gamecocks in 2021? I'm down for a 4-1 start, maybe 3-2, but I'm going to go 4-1. I'm going to say, I think I'm on record as 7-5.
Wow.
Maybe 8-4, but I'm going to be on record as 7-5.
Well, Chris, as you embark upon this, however, you need to know. I don't know. Have you ever played spades before, where you bid before you play?
Played in college.
Going to win. Okay. Bill always overbid.
One day I'll be right.
That's true.
All right, what you got?
A broken watch is right twice a day.
That's right.
So no doubt. I think if they get 5 wins this season, that's a remarkable improvement considering what they're coming off of. I don't think you can legitimately look at this team considering all the lack of depth they've got, especially defensively. And Shane's talked about that throughout spring practice. I don't know how you can optimistically. I think 5 or 6 wins is a positive step forward for them.
All right. We've had a bevy of recruiting notes here in the last few minutes. So let me run through them. Former USC target, and maybe he's going to be a target again, forward Langston Wilson out of Georgia Highlands College in Georgia is decommitting from Alabama. And he says Alabama will still be a strong option for him, but he's opening things back up. South Carolina was strong on him before he committed to Alabama, so we'll follow up on that. Former West Florence star guard Sharon Wright Jr. is transferring out of Morgan State. And former Charleston Southern guard Flanders Fleming, what a name, he's going to Florida. Poor Barkley Radeball. He raises these guys, and then they leave him in the lurch. One goes to North Carolina, and one's going to Florida now. That's the bad thing about this transfer stuff, is that these smaller programs are now just becoming developmental stops for these players to get to a higher level, and then the bigger teams just scoop them up. Former USC forward Patrick Ariel has put his name in the transfer portal. Of course, he left the program and the school before the start of last season. Former East Carolina forward Jaden Gardner is transferring to Virginia. Former North Carolina center Walker Kessler is transferring to Auburn. USC's Trey Anderson's put his name in the transfer portal, John. You get the portal, John?
I understand. I think it's an appropriate title.
He's flushing himself out of the program. That's another one. So that's number 6 leaving South Carolina. You got to figure A.J. Lawson, too. That'll be 7 here at some point. Also, football 2023 quarterback Lenoris Sellers of South Florence was offered by Washington State. Last season, 1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. You ever get a chance to see him?
Have not seen him play. I've heard wonderful things about him being over in Florence. He's they're a program in flux too, with a new coaching staff here the last 2 years and some changes on the staff this offseason. But I think a lot of folks are very high on Lenoir Sellers. I just haven't had a chance to see him play.
Young guy. We'll get a chance to watch him develop. A few more things. Clemson and USC target defensive end DJ Wazolik of Boonville, Missouri. Plans to name a top 15 on Friday, Smitty. He'll be down to 15 on Friday.
You know those are my favorites. When you limit it to 2 conferences, that's what I like.
Safety Jordan Thomas of Montgomery, Alabama, who had an offer from USC, committed to Mississippi State. All right. I think I mentioned Noah Gurley from Furman transferring to Alabama. So good. I think we've hit all that. We'll hit the phones one final time here tonight on Sports Talk before we leave you. Sam in Charleston, good to have you with us again tonight. Sam, how are you?
Good. How are you doing, good sir?
So far, so good.
Hey, I got my predictions of the Gamecocks for the 2021 season.
What's your prediction?
My prediction will be 15-0 start.
A what?
15-0.
15-0 in which sport?
Football.
Football. You see him winning 15 games. Sam, I got Shane Beamer on line 1 for you. He wants to talk to you, and he wants some of what you've been smoking.
I know so.
15-0. Well, I mean, that's very very nice thoughts for the Gamecocks there, but truly, what do you think?
I do really think he's going to do better things for the Gamecocks coming out. And I can see them going to the tournament.
To the playoffs?
Yes, sir.
Playoffs? Well, hey, listen. Keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
Hey, I got to tell you, I haven't got to see a game sometime.
Yeah, I'm sure you get up this year when they open things back up. We got to get you up for a game.
Yes, sir. And I'll come visit you guys sometime soon.
Okay, Sam. Thank you very much. Sam in Charleston. Sam, Chris, is pretty optimistic about the game.
Indeed he is. I thought he was actually talking women's basketball. Yeah. I could see that 15-0 start. That's understandable.
15-0. Hey, what if Shane Beamer took the Gamecocks to 15-0 in 21, Smitty?
Look, I can't believe we've actually found someone more optimistic than you are about all this.
Yeah.
But I've listened. Well, Shane Beamer actually sounds that optimistic, and I was listening to Shane Beamer's comments, and he thinks there's some real talent at the wide receiver position. I am actually fascinated by this team because now we're going to see a healthy Marshawn Lloyd beside a healthy emerging Kevin Harris in the backfield. That's going to be a lot of fun. The question, of course, is can any of these receivers whose names we just continue to have to learn over and over because we just don't have any returning stars or anybody with much returning experience, even Ortre Smith, I mean, he's barely been on the field in the last 2 seasons. Can that passing game keep any pressure off Harris and Lloyd? I don't know. From what I saw in limited action last year, I'm actually really skeptical that Luke Doty can sit in the pocket right now and fire dimes out to receivers and beat people in the passing game. But I'm happy to be proven wrong and see this Gamecock team open up fast.
Well, they got a chance to win some games early.
They do. The schedule is favorable early.
Georgia aside, I mean, the other ones early on they can win. All right, Smitty, thank you so much, my friend. I'll talk to you tomorrow, and we'll have you back on whenever you are ready and willing, and we look forward to having you at a sporting event near us.
Absolutely. And Chris, K-Mac, Tom Hayes, Teddy Hefner, Kevin Cohen, we're all a member of a support group. You are invited.
My goal is to outlive them all. So far, so good. Welcome, Chris. Good to have you.
Sir.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow night here on Sports Talk.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
The Point. The Point. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces.